I'm Daemonxel, and it's time for your Eve Echoes weekly news update, where we dive into all the happenings of the week. But first, if you can tag that subscribe button and ring that bell, you too can stay up to date with everything that this channel has to offer. Now, let's discuss the elephant in the room. I do want to apologize for the lateness of this video. It was meant to drop around Saturday, possibly Sunday, but due to fatigue and illness on my part and medical issues with my son, well, as you can see, time just got away from me. And as we start off, we do have a correction from last week's video. The Pantheon lost Citadel last week, just after that server maintenance by No Please Stop. I have been informed that the FCs of Pantheon were notified about the Citadel deployment in GY6A TAC L. However, they did not form a defense fleet due to the time, as it was 8 a.m. in Europe and 3 a.m. in the US. Now let's talk about those medical issues. For a little update on my little pilot. This week he gave me and my wife a bit of a scare, as for 5 days in a row he kept throwing up about a full bottle's worth after feeding at least once each of those days. Concerned, we took him to the doctor, who thought it could be something called pyloric stenosis, and what that is basically the sphincter in the stomach wouldn't open to the lower intestinal tract, and the formula's got to go somewhere, either down or up, and it came up. But he told us that if it did happen again, to take him right over to the ER, as this can only be corrected by surgery. You see where this is going, right? So later that day, we headed over to the ER, and we were there for several hours, but the doctors on call at the hospital ruled it out with a sonogram. What we feel, and what the doctors feel, is that he could just be building up an intolerance to the high-calorie formula that he's currently on. And since then, he's actually been great. He hasn't vomited in several days, and he is back to his regular good self. We've just been breaking up his feedings. If he's taking, sometimes he takes 5 ounces, sometimes he takes 4 ounces, and we just cut it in half and have him wait between 5 to 10 minutes after the first 2 ounces. Okay, due to the lateness of the video, we are covering 2 updates, but there weren't many changes last week due to the Chinese holiday. In addition to all the balance changes we have this week going to effect, I'm not going to go over all the balance changes because I've done it before in a previous episode. Every content creator has covered it, but we do have changes concerning the game with this patch, and let's dig into that. Number 1. They did add a 1 million free skill reset to help with the skill changes due to the significant balance changes. This free skill reset is available until the end of the month, May 31st. It is a pittance. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a free, thing, but 1 million skill points these days really doesn't cover much. I mean, myself, due to the bastardization of the interdiction bubble ships, I will be skilling out of bubbles, and that itself right there is, I believe, 3.2 or 3.4 million skill points. Number 2, they added new ship trees for the T10 ships. Well, we knew that was coming. 3, they added industry jobs and reverse engineering jobs for the T10 ships and freighters. They added blueprints for all the T10 ships, added freighter and freighter blueprint categories in the market. Basically, they're making all the adjustments in the game to acknowledge the tech level 10 stuff. Number 5, the tech level requirement for reverse engineering freighter blueprints, manufacturing, and using freighters has been changed from 10 to 9. They added delivery hangars in the info in the history log of industrial jobs, showing which corporation hangar the job was delivered to. Number 7. Those thinking that Garistas had really crap Inquisitor sites, well, they just added engineering rigs to you. We're going to touch on crap Inquisitor sites later on. Trust me on that. Number 8, when an asset delivery is triggered at an outpost, it destroys all shipping containers at that outpost. Number 9, due to changes made to some of the pirates' defensive capabilities, the rewards and combat difficulty of some encounter missions have been adjusted accordingly. 10, they added a reminder that contracts require items to be repackaged. 11, they added new sorting option that allows you to view storyline missions if you haven't completed the encounters. Number 10, the expiration time of the logistics container has been adjusted from a fixed 24-hour period to a dynamic calculated as expiration time equals equivalent jumps plus 10 rounded up. 13, the trigger time of system logistics has been adjusted from a fixed 2 hours to a dynamic. Basically, they're changing the formula on how everything's calculated between both of these. 14, they reduced the cost of logistic containers. The distance modifier adjusted from 1 to 0.25 in high sec from 2 to 1 in low sec. Number 15, the corporation members list will now reset after removing members or configuring positions. 16, they updated estimated prices according to... come on, we know this already. You're giving it to us every week. We really don't need to put it on the list of patch notes every week. Of course, if they didn't, I know several people or several hundred people would be complaining that they didn't put it in there. 17. Now the navigation menu will pop up when you tap on the number of jumps displayed in the Interstellar Trading Center list in the market. 18. They added proper resources for capital ship components. They added an icon for capital ships, and capital ship component manufacturer and freighter manufacturer are now available. The blueprints for these capital ship components are now available in the market. Capital ship component buildings skills have been added as well. The next 3 deal with the bursts, how the command burst and blueprints of the market and industry jobs, how they're in scout container drops, and how they now have skills related to them. 24, they added freighter skills such as operations, engineering, defense, and manufacturing. And number 25, text content update regarding Japan's Payment Services Act. Now, since I'm not going into the balance changes of the ships or the modules, well, I just want to touch on one thing here. Among the changes, they did add this, which completely screws over all pilots located in Angel Space with the nerf to loot acquired from these regions. Number 4 in these, added hybrid weapon rigs and structure rigs to Garista Inquisitor. Added navigational rigs and structure rigs to Sancha Inquisitor. They added missile rigs to Angel Inquisitor and removed navigational rigs from Angel Inquisitor. So basically, Angel, the least profitable. You can't really say Garista because Garista debris is worth more. But, you know, they basically nerfed the Angel income into the dirt. These are Mimitar vessels. Not a lot of them are using missiles. Why the hell do we need missiles? Second of all, these are the fastest ships in the game. And now they're not even going to have the rig blueprints to make them that fast? That's just stupid. I said that directly to the devs, too. I actually questioned the devs. What info, what statistics are you reading in the data that shows that you needed to do this? And again, like I said, I'll be skilling completely out of destroyers because they screwed that over. I'll be skilling out of bubbles because you can't really solo a bubble anymore. There's more utility, and I like to make things go boom. But enough of that. Let's move on. We have this week's Solve map thanks to Exekiel from April 30th to May 9th. And the Solve Leader Pantheon has lost 1 system this week and gained 3, bringing their total to 60 systems total. The Sound Federation has gained 2 new systems this week, bringing their total to 39. ACR has lost 1 and gained 1, maintaining their total of 22. Red Machine has lost 2 systems this week, bringing their total down to 4. And Han has lost 1 system, bringing their total down to 3. This channel would like to thank Exekiel for these weekly maps, which are also published on Reddit, as well as up-to-date maps in his GitHub, which there will be a link in the description below. Finally, some content. This week we were shown preliminary information about the upcoming feature, Scanning. We were treated with a bit of lore as well with this new feature, explaining how the game of EVE Echoes is different from EVE Online. There was a supernova event which created a parallel universe to EVE called Echoes. the name actually kind of makes sense now. And the neutrinos left over from this Big Bang have been left behind and scattered, and the capsulers have been scanning them down to find out the sources of these signals. Now, if you want an in-depth lore, I do suggest that you check out Giga4day's channel. He is a huge lore buff. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of scanning here. Now, probes were the main source of scanning in EVE Online, and they will not be used as we're given waveform patterns as in Echoes. These patterns will be available to be scanned down with two different types of modules. The first being a wide area resonance simulator, and the other being a narrow area resonance simulator. Now, your narrow area resonance simulator is only developed for the signal waves emitted by existing ships or buildings. The signal waves emitted by ships and buildings are more similar and closer in frequency and range, and are more different than those emitted by celestials. So the narrow area resonance simulator can only detect the signal waves emitted by buildings and ships, and can make specific verdicts about them, such as determining the type of ships, and etc., etc. Now, your wide area resonance simulator, however, is built for analyzing possible beacon signals under different astronomical conditions, and has a wider acceptance range, but the accuracy of the analysis will be slightly less than that of a narrow area resonance simulator. What does that all mean? Well, in layman's terms, your narrow is your PvP scanner, able to scan down hiding pilots and safe spots, as well as capsular outposts. While your wide area resonance simulator is your PvE scanner, used to find celestial beacons. The resonance simulation for PvE can probe many different signals, such as dead spaces. You will need to have the wide area resonance simulator fitted, and by activating this module in outer space, you will receive on anomalous astronomical signals from different regions of the current galaxy after a period of time. After the scan, a player can tap the notice on the screen and check the scan report and analysis. This means they changed dead space farming. It will now be scanned down, and the reason for this, as the most advanced anomaly, dead space is supposed to be harder to discover. The devs said that we always plan to make a dead space a resonance simulation exclusive, basically scanning exclusive, and if you find the amount of anomalies is below par, just give the simulator a try. It'll show you hidden anomalies. So basically what you're going to find with the wide area is these new dead spaces, and you're going to find other hidden anomalies within the system. So how does the scan work in PvP? How can I get a signal? Well, the resonance simulator for PvP can only scan players and structures. First, you have to have, well, obviously you have to have the module fitted and turned on in space. And then you're going to start to receive a bunch of different reports, signal reports, that show the ships in the current system after a short period of time. Later, you can tap the notice on the screen and check the scan report and analysis. So we'll be getting these wave patterns, and you'll have to filter out the noise via overlays to get closer to the scan pattern. In other words, you're going to get about, for example, when using the wide area resonance simulator, there are 5 possible noises, and after the capsular eliminates 2 of those waves that interfere with the analysis, the module will automatically perform a simulation that gives the analysis of the noiseless signal waves. The module will go through a significant number of calculations each time it performs a noise exclusion or unexclusion. So when the cumulative operation requests more calculations than the module can compute, you'll have to wait for the module to recover from the previous request. Basically, there's a cooldown time. So basically what it is, you're going to hit this thing, the module, whether it be the PvP one, the narrow, or the PvE, the wide, and it's going to start giving you a bunch of waveform patterns, which you'll filter out. Now, you're obviously going to, on the wide, going to filter it out, and you'll be able to see exactly what's in that system, and then you'll have to pinpoint the signal before you can warp to it. Same goes for PvP. You're going to get a whole bunch of, you're going to get a list of the type of ships that are in the area, the structures that are in the area, and you'll have to filter out to pinpoint which one you want to warp to and go to. Now, they also hint towards wormholes, but they call it nihilist space. According to research, some unstable areas beyond the main universe called nihilist space are linked to the main universe through unstable areas. These gateways to spaces absorb their other particles, and their energy keeps the space beyond the main universe in existence for a short time. During that, the energy transformation, only neutrinos residents will continue to propagate the residual information in the main universe, emanating information about the gateways and everywhere. Now, basically what that is it's wormholes. I don't know why they can't just come out and say wormholes, but basically it's wormholes. Now, mission runners in LowSec beware, because you can get scanned down by these PvP pilots, and they give a reason for this. In low security areas in EVE games, players are only protected by Concord or the 4 Empires when they are close to Stargates. The other places are supposed to be very dangerous. We fixed the low-sec gate camp issue because we want to prevent players from being destroyed when autopiling under the protection of Stargate cannons. Despite that, the current low-sec environment is too safe. We want these areas to actually be low security. So basically, it's risk versus reward. If you want to do those low-sec missions, there has to be some kind of risk for you to get that reward. Now, you will get notices if you're getting scanned down, and there are precautions to getting scanned down that you can take. Now, the first is a covert ops ship cloak. Now, covert ops ships will be impervious to scanning down. When you're cloaked, you can't be scanned down. Number 2, you will get a notice that you are being scanned down, so you have to be vigilant. You have to look for this message that you are being scanned down. If you are, always have a warp out bookmark set up, because there seems to be a 1-hour cooldown for PvP scanning. Now, that means you can get out and you might be able to come back. I don't know. But this cooldown itself, we don't have a lot of information on it, but I think it's a safe bet that it can be reduced with the more skills you have in scanning. Now, when we get more information on scanning as a whole, we will report on it, because we don't have the information itself. We don't know the modules, where they're going to fit. We're estimating it's going to be in your mids, since your lows are more of your defensive and your highs are your offensive and your mids are your utility. But like I said, when we get more information, we will report on it. This week in your Plex market report, we see that price of Plex has skyrocketed to 2.1 million per Plex. It has touched 2.2, but right now it's settled in between. Remember, if you see Plex on sale, always snatch it up. This week in community news, we saw the mounting of a possible huge fight for the Warp Citadel hull timer early Saturday morning. The Content Coalition gathered its defenses for both ZID and the Warp Citadel, while Pantheon started forming their offensive fleet back in NOL. However, little did they know that while they were AFK, talking, grabbing a cup of coffee, that no please stop spy would be giving a warp in to their safe spot. Before the no fleet warped on top of them, a no dictator landed and bubbled the unaware fleet, pulling everyone's attention back to the game and a surprise fight. Pantheon had 90 people saved up in 2 groups of 50 and 40, plus another 70 of the Cosmos and PSC forming at the station for a total number of 160. No came into the system with 100, and unluckily the 2 Pantheon fleets saved up were only separated by 90 kilometers. When they tried to react, it was too late. The fleet at the station couldn't warp in time, and the resulting anchoring was slow. Pantheon lost about 60 to 70 ships, and they only killed about 20. They had to disengage as the no logi was too strong, and there was no point keeping the grid as they were just bleeding ships. A Pantheon source states that it was not a big loss itself, but denied us the objective of that day. Props to No for splitting us up and getting us unprepared. In Pantheon's after action report, they acknowledged the loss of the day, but vowed to restore the balance. This victory for the Content Coalition fueled a series of offensive attacks that day as they took a fleet into Catch-22 territory and laid waste to all of their anomaly bases. Genesis, on the other hand, sent out a roaming Scepter fleets throughout the Content Coalition space and with hit-and-run tactics for those that fell behind the main fleet, as well as catching those not involved in the CTA unaware. With the new balance changes going into effect this week and a new series of timers on both sides, we'll have to wait and see how the next round of fights plays out. No Please Stop, while being on contract on behalf of the Content Coalition, had a massive score from a single player. This may be a single player, but he is a well-known multi-boxer throughout Pantheon named Nox. His personal ratting fleet was caught and decimated for a total of 129 billion in damages. 9 ships total, 1 Nightmare, and 8 Vindicators, caught and killed, fulfilling a large chunk of the contract against Pantheon in one fight. And just to show that No is not invincible, they squared off against a Genesis fleet earlier this past week and was defeated. Genesis, while making a 52-jump trek to help out a ally's outpost timer, a few PEW pilots were spotted by Gen Scouts, and as the Scouts followed, they discovered a logout trap in the making for the Gen fleet. While in Q00H, aligning to the X7 gate, the first of the No fleet spike started to log back in. The Genesis fleet landed in their bubble 200 km from the target gate where the fight took place. It was a small fight in terms of fleets, 40 No versus 60 Genesis. Knowing the strength of the No Logi, that was Genesis's primary targets, followed by their Guardians. Both fleets mostly comprised of battlecruisers and battleships. However, Genesis pilots would win the day and the grid. The entire fight can be found on fellow content creator Phoenix Tasador's channel, and a link to the fight will be in the description below. This week we say goodbye officially to the Quasar Coalition, formerly the Aquarius Coalition. The QC has officially disbanded and joined Catch-22. I reached out and received word that the QC has had a lot of internal problems, which led to a long period of stagnation. Conflicting visions of the future drove a schism through the heart of the QC, breaking apart, and today you can find ex-QC pilots across New Eden within every major alliance and coalition. In a major shakeup, the longtime alliance and New Eden's favorite trolls has found a home within the Silent Federation. That's right, Honk is now part of the Silent Federation. Apparently they were all set to join Pantheon and drop Sov within YRNJ Tech 8. However, in a statement from Honk, Mars and WTF did not agree with Honk joining Pantheon. Swippy Swappy has stated that they both were too salty and only thought of themselves, and the rest is history. Members across Pantheon are torn on this, as some generally loved Honk and their shenanigans, to the extent that longtime member and fellow content creator The Harrowing had left Pantheon to join Honk after the deal went south. With Honk's favorite playground being in Fountain, will this give Silent a foothold into the region? Only time will tell. I reached out to a contact in the north, as it has been quiet since Fireflies have been keeping a low profile, and in a statement from the Silent Federation they state, "We have been in war since the game started, with groups all fighting over Declan and the surrounding areas. We have won every war against OBS, Fireflies America, Fireflies, and Triple V to stabilize the north. Our only allies are Genesis, and they are good allies, and we are neutral with everyone else. We will see what happens in the south." Now, most coalitions and alliances have been doing the same as Silent for the last few weeks, just laying low and amassing ISK and materials to see how the new meta shifts after this new round of balancing. In another infringement on Catch-22's space, bots deployed in Catch for about 36 hours and caused 78 billion ISK in damages as I hit anything that was flying past them. I am told that in under 24 hours, Honey Badger leadership contacted bots to negotiate a ceasefire. Alright, are you tired of being massacred in your favorite ship every time you go looking for a fight? Do you miss the old days when people faced off like men, 1v1ing, and didn't hide behind massive fleets? Well, there is now a new Discord group that feels the same way as you do. I give you the Gladiators Cup Discord server. This is a great place for a good clean dueling and setting up grudge matches while making a little ISK on the side. They have weekly tournaments and callouts for when that special someone really pisses you off. Don't rage on Reddit, come kill them at the Gladiators Cup. Now, if fighting isn't your thing, then just join the Discord and you can bet your hard-earned ISK on the fights instead. Fights take place on the weekend. Call-out rules are flexible. Strict anti-pineapple pizza policy. 20% of betting goes to the winner of the call-out as a prize. Shit talking is encouraged before fights, but not after. They will have a station coming soon for all your repairing and storage needs once the hostilities in the area cool down a little bit. A link to their Discord can be found in the description. This week we had the first Hunger Memes competition hosted by Honk and organized and run by Space Karen. Many pilots throughout New Eden participated to poke fun at Echo's personalities, alliances, and game mechanics. The memes were never meant to be mean or malicious in nature, however, that did not stop a few from crossing lines. Many pilots took offense that Echo's celebrity and top content creator, Captain Benzie, was a frequent target of this competition. As many of the entries hit Reddit, many pilots came out in defense of Benzie, some in very toxic manners, focusing their rage on Space Karen. Now, those of us who run known channels, myself and Benzie included, will always make popular targets, but this competition was never meant to belittle anyone or to be vicious. This entire competition has raised questions of good-hearted memeing versus cancel culture. Getting back to the topic at hand, the competition was fun and the overall winner was ButtBot, a most ingenious Discord bot injecting humor and levity at random. You gotta love that ButtBot. However, since the bot doesn't play, they had to award pilots. Here are the winners, and yes, yours truly placed third. To sum up the experience of Discord during the competition, I give you this fitting meme.
One ping only, please.
Also, this footage was obtained of Beck trying to maintain the Gulag server during this week-long competition. And after the event, Beck led his fellow moderators in a dance of his homeland. In this week's Alliance Corporation Spotlight, we feature the Wuhan Trade Federation, otherwise known as WTF, the Forgotten, who are recruiting corporations and pilots now. Looking for a home in Null? Do you want to join one of the richest regions in Null space? Want an active and friendly community of players from around the world and be a part of Das Boop and Pantheon Alliance? Do you use voice chat in Discord? Are you mature, non-toxic, non-racist, and play well with others? Well, look no further. WTF are for you, and we can offer you T10 through T10-6 routing systems with Alliance and Coalition fleets 24/7. T10 mining fleets up 24/7. To keep your miner safe, active PvP community with weekly roams and CTA. Experienced EVE Online FCs. Very active Discord community with daily updates to keep you informed on what's going on. Numerous EVE Online vets and plenty of friendly pilots who understand that the game is there to give a hand whenever you might need it. Coalition-wide SRP program is in place for you to fly your ship without worry. PvP competitions, industrial events, in-coalition market, and more are also available, so please contact Nigel the Killer for any openings within WTF. His Discord information will be provided below. We have 2 new scalps up on the bounty board provided by SuperDuperPickle. The first bounty is on Adrian of Pan Corporation Silent Alliance, and the second is of Dogo Dude. On Adrian, it's 30% kill mail amount, and on Dogo Dude, it's 50% kill mail amount. For additional information, Adrian flies a Ashimu, and Dogo Dude flies a Rupture Guardian and a Prophecy. Both of these bounties are available until May 15th, 2021. However, I do believe this could be extended due to the nature of this video being a few days late. Also, for additional information, the bounty on my corpse has been claimed this week by a 24-man Catch-22 defensive fleet. The top damage and final blow split the bounty of $125 million. Congrats to Semperfire Dog and Jim Yeager. Xenon of Catch-22 and Hot Dog of Pantheon both put up $50 million on my scalp. They were curious on who put up the additional $25 million. What can I say? He had it coming. And since we're talking about my corpse, I wanted to shout out those fans of the show that have killed me recently. Daxia, I am looking at you. Popped my interceptor with his Naga 2 as I was trying to keep him pinned down for the rest of the fleet to arrive and take him out. Obviously, things did not go my way. Second, Instigator YT, who was overly pleased to dance on my corpse, who in fact will be the last interdictor kill of mine, as I will be skilling out of them as they have been nerfed to hell for solo roaming. Love you guys, and trust me, when I find you, payback is a bitch. Now let's move on to big kills. Pantheon comes through this week with a 12.5 billion Balgorn kill and a 8.2 billion Macarial kill. NEEC comes to me with a 14.2 billion Vindicator kill. Savhaz and D9S Syndicate with a 15.6 billion Nightmare kill. Mug claims this 10.3 billion Macarial kill, a 8.8 billion Sigil kill, a 16 billion Rattlesnake, 2 Gilas, both around 4 billion, and a 3.1 billion Phantasm kill. Void gets on board this week with a 9.9 billion Macarial kill. That's right, guys. If you want your big kills shown, if they are over 3 billion and higher, then you just have to DM them to me. That's right, DM them to me. I know there's a bunch in my coalition that got a big kills this week, but you know what? I'm busy. I can't sift through all the kills to amass the list. If you send to me, I can put them up on the show. Now it's time for everyone's favorite, the solo kills, and a chance at a free Omega combo. Now before we get started, the friend of the channel and Honk Employee of the Month, Badran, still under the contest cooldown, wanted to submit this badger for honorable mention. And it's a nice 8 billion badger kill, and it looks as if he now has an outpost to stage out of for future hits. Now again, on this honorable mention, Valgor du Geneb, I'm sorry I butchered that name, I'm not very good with French, sent me this 14 billion Vindicator kill. Now, I've been going back and forth on this one winning for a few reasons. One, there's only 11,000 damage done. I found out later that this Vindicator warped AFK to a gate in 50% hull. Second, there's 2 participants on it. I finally decided to give it an honorable mention instead because even though it's 100% damage by a single person on the kill mail, I am pretty solid on my 1 participant rule that even goes for rats, and it would not be fair to those in the past that I have turned down for the same reason. But it's still one hell of a kill, deserving of a showcase. Alright, we start off this week with Vetemune with a 1.163 billion Cure kill. Next, we move on to Lucifer97 with a 1.298 Procurer kill. Next, we have Alex Magnus with a 1.424 billion Procurer kill. David6606 with a 1.452 billion Dramiel kill. Followed by Crumbs with a 2.3 billion Cinnable kill. Pepe Chestes with a 2.768 billion Ashimu kill. And the first runner-up goes to Mr. Meow with a 3.016 billion Cinnable kill. Is it scary that most of these guys are from the same corporation. And the winner this week and the owner of a new 30-day free Omega combo goes to Alcordismo with a 8.5 billion interceptor kill. And congrats on your new rattlesnake blueprint that dropped. Alright, Alucard, you know what to do. Contact me on Discord so I can get that prize sent out to you. And that's our show for this week. Be on the lookout for my new series, Pod Sessions, real talk with content creators and personalities throughout New Eden, where we'll pick a topic and see where it takes us. No script, no censor, plenty of wild tangents. Now, if you need more news in your life, I suggest you take yourself over and check out the Echoes of New Eden podcast with Rambo, where he has some great news stories as well as roundtable discussions and interviews with influential people throughout New Eden. So for me, have a great week, have a great weekend, fly safe, and remember, we are always one vision, one purpose, one front. Have a good one.